And back to work. Okay. So now we got this shot. I wonder about one thing, actually. Let's see here. Okay, hold on. Escape. Well, let's go with that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is turn the pencil test back on. And as you can see here, the head will not change. The only thing that's going to change is the eyes. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to push the pencil test up so that it's above here and lock it. That way I can't accidentally draw on it, but I'll be able to see it all the time. One thing, yeah. Okay. Ink face. So this is where we want to be. Oh, I see. It's because I already inserted the keyframe. So let's go ahead and do this. And all we want to do here, I would say, yeah, let's get the brush going. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this brush to just give a little bit of a grimace. Alright, and obviously we're going to put that black, or I should say that dark ink line back in. Let's go ahead and put that there. Probably should turn the stabilizing back on. Okay, then as usual, that looks pretty good. And here, oops, control drag. Okay, here, the change here is pretty minimal. Little bit. The main change is going to be on the eyebrows. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's sample our charcoal. No, I didn't like that. I didn't like that either. I think I'm going to zoom in a bit so I can see a little better what I'm doing. That's better. Okay. Okay, that's fine, I think. Okay. And then what we want to do here, this is actually the part that's going to be a little trickier. I actually wonder if the best way to do this would be to actually very carefully select this, like so, and just drag it down. And then we will come back and split the difference on the tweens. I would say the first one on the first key, his eyebrows aren't going to move at all, so we want just a little slight movement here. Better make sure, yeah, okay, that's good. So on this one, just grab this and move it a little bit. Okay, so now I think we are pretty good. I would say that the only thing we want to add is, let's go to this brush, grab the skin color, whoops, B key, grab the skin color, and then let's just turn this down a little. Nah, I don't want to do that. Just turn this down a little bit. What I find is, I think with shadow colors, if you look at where the dot is here on the color, and then you just go basically as close as you can go within the size of the dot, that's probably going to be pretty close to what you want for a shadow color. Okay, so now the question is, why are we not seeing it? Let me turn the, oh, because of a selection. Duh. Oops. Let's be a little bit bolder. So normally we do shadows sort of in the conventional way, which is to just have another layer that's mostly transparent, basically black. In this case, having a little bit of a modification just for the just for this expression isn't really a problem. Okay, so now let's see how that feels. I like it. I like it muy mucho. Okay, so now we can turn the pencil test back on. And we've gotten through to here, and now we got to go here. And what we determined previously is that in both the ink and the paint layer, we want to just do an edit. And I believe here, let me just see. Okay, yeah, so here's the ink for the head. So what we want to do here is drag this to here so that we can edit it. And this is going to be a little tricky. I think I should turn the paint off. I want to make sure I'm in the correct layer. Let's grab all of this right to there. Alright, and now what we want to do is sort of look at where the anchor of the head would be and rotate accordingly. That's fine. And it'd be nice if we could move the layers together as a unit. There are kind of sort of ways to do that, but for the most part it's a little clunky. So B key, sample that, and now let's do a little, I'm going to turn the smoothing off, by the way. Oops, didn't want the eraser there. Okay, so what I'm looking at is whether I introduced any leaks with that edit. Looks like I didn't. Okay, but right here is a little questionable. So as long as we're here, let's go ahead and try to bring that up to scratch. That's fine. Okay, so now we go here, drag this here, and we want to do the same thing we did a minute ago. We'll just select all of this, hit the A key, and we want to put the anchor point in his, basically in his head, where his head would be. Up, stop. We're in the wrong layer. This is something I think they really should change in Krita. My opinion is, if I click on a track, it should switch to that layer so that you're painting in that layer. You agree? I'm sure you do. Okay. Just double check that. That's fine. Okay. So now let's turn the pencil test back on and see what we've got. Okay, so this transition here is pretty rapid. But that's one of those things. Let's see here. I want to be in the head layer. We're going to have to get to here. So alright. Okay. So the problem we have right now, by the way, is that I need to duplicate this. And yeah, actually, do we want to move the whole thing a little bit? Because the next shot's going to be, there's a rapid change. I think we're okay doing that. So let's put this here. Oh, come on. Ooh, I hate that. I literally hate that. If I click here, it should select that layer for editing. Boy, oh boy, is that not true. Absolutely. Alright, let's see here. Okay. Alright, so here we need to insert a key there because now we're going back to this layer and everything's going to happen in the head layer at this point. So we can deselect everything and let's turn our smoothing back on and not be in eraser mode, by the way. Okay, so his arm situation picks up down here. So actually, yeah, what we should do, we should go ahead and put the arm on the other layer. So that's fine. We'll stick with the head layer for just the head. And since we're going to do that, there's no reason why we can't just go ahead and fill that in. Alright. And we'll... that's too big, obviously. There we go. That's better. Alright, I'm going to hit the M key, flip this, so I can get a nice clean line across there. And a clean line there as well. Okay, so now here, let's turn the smoothing back off because it's really obnoxious right there. And I am going to go ahead and use this brush to block this in. And then I'll use the regular ink brush to tighten it up. And then go back in. I think I just hit the wrong key. With the eraser. And just tighten that up, baby. Tighten it up. Alright, flip that. Okay, so yeah, it definitely helps to zoom in close and see what's going wrong that you can't necessarily see from a distance that well, right? Okay, let's pull that out. And I think that's pretty good, except the only thing I would object to, I suppose, is I don't think that's quite intense enough. So let's pull this up and let's turn the smoothing on. Oops, darn it. Need the B key, not in eraser mode. Okay, so now I can go ahead and just erase back into that. And actually, let's leave that as a shadow, the way we had it before. So now let's just see here. Okay, so that is a rapid transition, but I think we're in good shape. I need to cache it by hitting the play button. And now what we want to do is look at the other keys. And all we're going to do is animate this. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, I don't know if there's any degradation that takes with the straight free transform tool. In other words, you're not using liquify or anything. I don't know if there's actually any degradation in the lines. Let's turn the pencil test off. It's hard to say. Anyway, my point being that I think I'm safer to duplicate this key multiple times as opposed to continually modifying with the animate or the free transform tool the previous key. Because what happens is potentially, and it certainly does happen if you use the liquify tool, is you get softening of the image that builds up and builds up. So let's not have that. I don't know if that key even needs to be in there. So here we have the animate tool, or I say animate tool because that's what it would be called in OpenTunes. Go to the next key. Again, let's rotate that around. Because remember, his head's going to be covered up by his arm. So I think that'll probably do the trick. Now, here, what we want to do is and he's got his wraps there, and he also has his wraps here. Okay, and now for this sequence, okay, stop. Damn it. That's really, 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 really irritating. Okay, so what just happened, you might be wondering. What just happened is that I clicked in this layer, but of course Krita doesn't actually switch to that layer, so I have to manually either here or here make sure I select the correct layer. You know, that's not a bug, but it's definitely a glaring omission. Alright, let's zoom in. He's got his wrap. We'll turn the smoothing back on just for kicks and giggles. Okay, that'll work. Now let's go to the next key. Oh wait, I'm sorry. We need a key right here. So let's hit insert. And now I'm actually going to animate this wrap first. And we'll get that right. And that will be a bit of a guide for the rest. Let's see what we have here. Okay. Okay, so we need to insert a key there. Alright, well, yeah, for our purposes, we sort of determined earlier that we should be able to do cutting and pasting. Let's do cutting and pasting starting here. Hope that makes sense. So here, 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 and here, these are all going to be just transformed versions of the previous drawing. Okay, we're going to have a little tiny bit of his blue wrap thing there. And I think we probably should have an indication of the arm wraps there. That will disappear on the next key. Yeah, for sure. Oops. Okay. Probably shouldn't be trying to draw so small. I don't want to lose my perspective, but at the same time I don't really want to be trying to draw on a picture the size of a postage stamp either, so that's fine. Okay, and then here, this is the last drawing. Okay, I know we're back to postage stamp mode here, aren't we? Okay, so now what's going to happen is the paint is going to get well, anyway, for our purposes, we can just go ahead and use the free transform tool here. So I'm going to actually go like this, and then I'm going to go like this, turn that just a little bit, and we'll just line that up. That's fine. That will definitely work. All right. And since we already have this, we'll go ahead and move it there. And frankly, just off screen at this point. Okay. So S key here. Pull that up to there. Okay, so obviously we're going to have to patch it there. Oops. And okay, B key. Let's zoom in here, fix that. Fix that. This actually should only go to about there, I would say. So we're going 1, 2, 3. Actually, so this is moving up essentially a little over 1 square, so that means this should actually end about there. Alright, might be time to zoom in, folks, so we can see what we're doing. Okay. Yeah, it looks like there might be one more key, and in this case we could hit the animate tool. I keep calling it the animate tool. It's the free transform tool in Krita. Alright, and then grab this, pull that down there, and save our work. Cool. I think that works. So now we can turn off the pencil test. And we can come back here, turn on our paint layer, hit the fill tool, and now we want to stay in the paint layer for everything. So with that, what that means is, first of all, we need to definitely insert a key there. Nothing here. Alright. And so now we're not going to try to leverage anything. We need to just repaint these frames. It'll be less hassle and a better result if we just repaint it. So let's not fight the tide of requirement. Let's just embrace it. boom, boom. Okay, so now here, actually, okay, Z. This is important. Unfortunately, we need to turn this off so that we can fill these in, then turn the head back on. All right, and frankly, I might be being a little bit stupid here. Let's turn this off, and if we fill that in, yeah, okay. I've introduced a bit of confusion here, and so I'm thinking it's time to retreat for a moment. Let's back up just a little bit and think about this. Okay, the commonsensical solution here is clearly that each of these layers have their own paint. Okay, so if we're going to do that, and I'm going to say that we most certainly should, this is on top. So just to be clear, in Krita, the compositing order is kind of the intuitive. If the layer is higher in the hierarchy, it's on top. With some programs, as you flow down through the hierarchy, they're being composited over top of each other. So boom, boom, boom. So the lower you get in these layers, the well, you know what I'm trying to say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of these and give them a group. And then here, I'm going to put that in the ink head layer, and then I'm going to add a paint layer here. We'll call this paint face and arm. Okay. So with that, that's really misleading. Sorry guys, that should really be eyes, not face. Face and head. I mean, really, dude? Come on, man. What are you thinking? Okay. Okay, that's cool. So now coming back to here, we're in good shape till we get to this point right here. Now for this point, let's cache it. Okay. So now what we need to do is go to turn that off, and we should probably go ahead and paint this through all the way, which means this keyframe needs to be just removed. Actually, you know what we could do, just for kicks and giggles, is we could actually, well, no, we can't. I was going to say we could move it into the other layer, but the problem is we'd be moving the headband as well. Let's just get rid of it. I mean, obviously there's things you could do to make that work, but so let's just insert a key, and now let's go ahead and get this guy painted all the way through. Paint, 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 paint. Is that his ear? I do believe that is his ear. It's a little bit inscrutable. The last frame, I have to hand paint it. Figures. Okay, so there, see, now it took a little time to split it into layers, but come on, that was kind of a lot faster. So let's go to black here, and we will just paint our way through. Paint. Oops, my bad. Need to hit the fill tool there, folks. Fill, 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 fill. Now we're coming back, catch this, and as you can see, when the inking is done with this brush, I like hardly ever have leaks. I mean, it's really been quite nice to work with. Alright, so let's get this color, which, by the way, I'm kind of feeling like that should be slightly darker. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now we can just turn this layer off and go to here, and we're going to have in the paint the eyes and arm layer, we're going to have these two. Okay, yeah, a little problematic here. I need to actually stop for a minute. Ah, I see what I did wrong. Yes, back here I put the paint in the same layer, so that's not really a tragedy, but what I need to do here is insert a key so that it's blank key, and then here we need to insert a key, insert. Yeah, so no big tragedy. Boom, 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 boom. I know I'm driving y'all crazy with my boom, boom, boom. Okay, great. See how quick that was once we did the preliminaries intelligently? Yeah, I tell you, slow is fast and fast is slow. Or as they said in the movie Shooter, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Now when we play it back, okay, yeah, there's only really one problem. Okay. Alright. Okay, so there's actually two problems. Here we put the eyes in the head, and so what I am going to do okay, I'm going to flip this and just take a look. I don't know, it's pretty good, actually. Just to see. I gotta say I like it better. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to go to the paint. I'm going to, and as much as it is a bit of a pain, and by the way, we really don't want smoothing on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control V and E, bake that down. Wait a minute. My bad. You want to put this up here and then bake it down, because obviously we want it there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is let's just double check here. Okay, so now what we're going to have to do, painful as it is, let's get rid of that completely. And right now I'm paying the price once again, and I will pay the price for having been a little sloppy. So I'm turning the paint off, by the way. So not a big deal. I'm only really having to pay that price on a couple frames, so no big tragedy. Now I'm going to turn that off, and now let's go through here and just fix this. So I'm just going to take a really big brush and hit the B key, sample this, and let's just paint this out so that we can fix it. Okay, now let's turn this back on, and what we're going to do, if we turn this back on, Let's sample his eye color. And then we're in the correct paint layer here. Okay. That was kind of easy. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so the only thing that remains, let's flip this, and by the way, let's save our work, is this area back here, which we could debate how to do it, but what I'm thinking is I think we really want it to be behind. So what I'm gonna say here is that let's grab our charcoal color and let's just check this. Nope, that's too close. Okay, so if we're gonna do this, and we are, then I think it would be something like that. Now let's just see what happens when we put the arm back in. Okay, so now the question is why? That must have been a caching thing we just saw. So I need to turn this back on so I can see what's about to happen here. What I don't understand at all is what is that? What is that little change right there? It appears to be in the... That is really, really strange. What the heck is that line? Isn't that strange? Well, let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. That does not belong. And then we'll go down here to the paint layer. Alright, and obviously I just wanted to make sure that wasn't in the paint layer at all. Okay, so now we're back in business. So now this ink and head. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so this should just hold. So my question is, why is it not holding? So sorry guys that this is so amazingly tedious, but there's your problem. There's your problem. I screwed up and I have to fix it right now. Yep. Okay, I put the ink in the paint layer. Frankly, it probably would be a little bit tempting to blame Krita for that because of this utter and complete stupidity of clicking something in the timeline but having it not actually go to that layer. Okay, okay. That's the way it's going to be. So, ink head. Ink head. There's our layer. Whew, that was tedious, was it not? Hit the B key. And again, I made it a little too, and that's too skinny. Yeah, something like that's probably okay. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sample this, go to the paint layer, and here, sorry, can't go to the paint layer yet. Again, this is such a great exercise because for me, I'm forcing myself over and over to stop and to do the right thing. It's a discipline problem. Now here, obviously, this is all being covered up by his arms, as you know. So for that reason, most of this will not be seen. If if we uncover this here, it actually, yeah, I mean, what the heck is that? Look at that stray line right there. Fix, 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 fix. Fix, fix, fix. Okay, so now let's sample this color. And let's go to the paint layer. Paint that. We will deal with the lines later. Okay, stop. That shot can actually stay the same. So now we have a problem again. Why do we have okay, so these two should be removed. Yeah. Okay, so now let's go back to this one. And by the way, this is the lesson, is that when you start breaking, there's a definite workflow advantage to breaking a character into pieces and different layers. Just be aware there's also always a price that you pay for that in complexity, and let's just call it clunkiness. Okay, now we should be able to turn this on, and we can see, I was gonna say we could see that we screwed it up, but actually, I don't know, I actually think it's okay. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're going to go into the ink. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put... Now let's not do that. Because remember, we're still going to have to do shadows. So what I'm thinking is, let's turn this off. Yeah, let's just go through here in the ink. But now we're going to use the charcoal color with the pencil. All right. Okay, now to a degree we can certainly bear in mind that most of this is covered up, but let's try to do it as accurately as possible. Okay, and now what we want to do is go into this layer, the ink here. Nope. Slop. Gotta catch those sloppinesses early. Okay, I think we're fine. Yeah, I think we're good. Save early, save often. Okay, so now, just because we can, let's put this back in. And oh my gosh, that definitely looks so much better. Okay, now this is an example of striking the balance between being picky about what needs to be improved, but at the same time realizing there are ways to fix it. To wit, I am going to want to use the shadow layer to sort of enforce a little bit more character in his eyes on the profile shot. So. Okay, so here we have this layer, and let's just do them one at a time. So we'll go here. For the eyes, I would say This is the eyes, arm, shadows. This is going to be the head shadows. Technically it's, yeah, I mean it's the head. So these are on top. So we want to definitely do the alpha lock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if we can kind of do most of the shadowing within one layer. We'll kind of see how that goes. And okay, so definitely what we're going to want to do here, and by the way, why did we just lose his eyes? Alright, stop everything. This is what I keep having to do. Stop, hit play. Okay, I inadvertently deleted his eyes. Is there a way to expand this out so that this eyes, arms, S dot dot dot? Nope, there's no way to extend that. There's so many things here in Krita that would be just solved instantly by the fact that if you click in the timeline, it switches to that layer. But unfortunately, we don't get that. So that's selected. Okay. So now let's go back here to the original shot. And okay, so we see some fairly harsh shadows because the moonlight is coming in. Okay, so fine. So I'm going to go ahead and ask myself why I'm seeing nothing. It makes me wonder. It's in normal mode. Oh, I see. That's being comped. Yes. You know what? We've got to do it on a separate layer. We're going to have to do the shadows as a single thing. Otherwise, it's just going to be so clunky. And again, those shadows are going to be pretty harsh. So let's keep this as simple as possible. Let's just double check against this. Yeah, I think it's really important that we keep these shadows as simple as we can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and get the broad body shadow correct first. Now this one, I think you could argue that you would actually move under the shadow. So here it should be keyed. But I'm going to hit Control Insert so I can modify the one that was already there. So what we want to do is just a slight change. Like so. Okay, whoops, didn't mean to do that. Let's color that back in. Okay, let's keep going. Alright, so yeah, obviously completely need a new shadow situation here. Let me look at what I did here. I think as far as the rendering of it wasn't too bad. Strike that. Okay, one thing I think I did well here was make his eye look like he was looking up, and that might be the problem. So with that, I think I'm safe to go ahead and do the shadow here. But I want y'all to know that at this point, I think I'm going to go in and we'll be planning to redo his eye yet again, if you can believe that. Because I just kind of sort of think I should. Yeah, live and learn. Okay, So now what we're going to do is and a little bit on the ear. Well, that was probably too much. Okay. A little bit of chiseling back into it, I think. Shoot. Okay. Now we'll just go to the next. Let's see what happens if we accentuate that a little bit. Is it improvement? Well, there's your problem. Okay, the only thing that's changing here is this. Let's just see how that looks. Okay. I think there it's too much. There it's probably still a little too much. But what are you going to do? All you can do is go through and just try to make your best judgment. Okay. Not eraser mode, silly. Okay. Nah. That doesn't help. Okay, so. Alright, so let's turn the background back on. See what we have. Okay, so now we need to have a layer of cast shadows. Alright. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this brush really big. Go back to the beginning here. Let's insert that as a key. Okay. Actually, I think something more like that. Okay. Pretty much buried in shadow at that point. Cool beans. And then let's just dial it in. And what do you think, folks? Add a filter mask of a very simple blur of about 10 pixels, I think. Okay, that resulted in almost nothing. So let's... Oh. How'd we wind up with... Yeah, actually 10 pixels was about correct. So, and with that, I think we can make it actually a little more transparent. And just for fun, let's see what happens if we switch to overlay mode. Doesn't make a difference. That's mainly because it doesn't have any color in it, so that's fine. Okay. Shot looks pretty good. The only thing, again, that I'm going to complain about, and I really hate to do this, but let's go ahead and close this up. Close this up. Let's lock. Okay, that's got the eyes in it here, but I think when we get to here, it does not. Shadows. So it's this layer. Let's solo it. Okay. Okay. This is layer 12. That's the group layer. Let's not solo that. Well, I guess we can leave it in solo mode. Yes. Here's our problem. For me, it's a bit of a biggie. Okay, sorry guys, this is really kind of maddening. I hit ink head, but okay, so it turns out if you're in solo mode or isolate mode, it's impossible to turn layers off actually. So there it is. Okay, at this point, I think my best strategy is going to be to, since this has happened twice, I'm going to grab this, and here in the paint layer, I'm going to take my brush, sample this, and just erase. And now I'm going to just go through and erase this. Because again, I've had to change this twice, and I simply refuse to be satisfied with this scene until this is correct. So, there it is. Okay, so now what we can do is erase this. And yeah, so there's only 3 frames where this matters. So what I'm going to do is, the commonsensical thing would be to, I want to draw this once and get it right. So therefore, probably the correct strategy would be come over here, add a new layer, and let's call this I fix. Alright, let's go back to frame 0 and hit insert a key. So we have a blank key right up to the point where the fix needs to take place. So there's the fix, and all I want to do is sketch this in with my handy dandy pencil and get it right. So yeah, what I did there was I had right. Yep, I like that better. So now what I'm going to do, since I feel pretty confident with that, should we dupe this layer? Yeah, let's dupe this layer. We'll dupe the layer, so that way the keys are already baked in. We'll take this one, make it semi-transparent, all right, and then we'll go into eraser mode and get rid of the sketch. Because remember, we're only going to have to draw this one time. Let's sample that color right there. We're only going to have to draw it one time, and here's why. Let's isolate that layer. Actually, no, let's not isolate it yet. Let's go back one key, sample the eye color because it's not exactly white. Now we will go into behind mode, and in this unusual case, I think we're going to have a problem right now. Z. Okay. Again, it's torturous in a way, but also in a way I'm really loving it, is the uncompromising discipline of forcing myself to stop every single time I see anything that's not perfect. Quit fricking compromising here, dude. Get it right. Okay, so now we'll go back here. Sorry, we can't be in isolate mode. Let's sample the eye color, and it didn't work. Okay, that's interesting. There, it worked. Okay, now we're on the correct layer. So now what we're going to do is isolate it, and we are in behind mode. So boom, there's your eye. It did not fill properly. So now let's go to brush mode. Since we're in behind mode, it's impossible to go outside the lines or mess it up. So let's go like this. And back out of isolate mode. Okay. And now I'm going to take the eye fix. Just going to do a little erasing because there are still some flaws in there. Okay, and now let's go here. Isn't it the 80-20 rule? The little tiny fix winds up taking as much time as the whole rest of the shot. Okay, and I keep trying to erase this, and it doesn't want to erase. Apparently, once again, I was literally in the wrong layer. So now what I want to do here is erase that, and then I'm going to sample this color, go slightly darker the way I described before. Nope, it's too dark. Slightly darker. Okay. Now I'm going to chisel back into this to erase. Okay. That feels pretty good. So that's a key. So right there it moves. Alright, let's make sure I got that more or less correct. And I believe this would be the last frame where we need to fiddle with it. And obviously he's going off screen. And I'm not even gonna bake that down. I think it's actually fine as it is. So take a look. Okay, there's something strange right about here. Right there. Knew it! Okay, let's kill that completely. And we see that the problem is in the eyes. But is the problem... Let's turn that off and this back on. Yes. The problem's in the shadow layer. There's the pencil test. Okay. Eyes are shadows. Okay, it would appear that there's a key needed here that somehow managed to sneak away or never get drawn in the first place. I think I can solve it thusly. Okay, I think that took care of it. Yeah. Now I'm not seeing that little flash of weirdness that I saw a moment ago. So I'm going to flip the canvas. Flip. Okay, there's a little spark of light right there. What is that? Oh, that's his neck piece. So the only thing that would concern me about that is that in fact covered with shadow at this point? It should be. That's better. Okay, flip the canvas and let's render the sucker. Let's be done with it. File, render animation. This is shot 11. So let's go ahead and render that baby. And while that's rendering, I'm going to go back to Blender. And there's the sketch that we did. This is about to be replaced, so I'm going to make sure I've saved my work. And in Blender, I'm going to create a clean scene. Krita's still rendering. And this one's going to take a little longer than usual. So let's see, this shot took, I think I spent almost a half hour earlier, so this is about a 90-minute shot. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's save that. Go here. Do the conversion. Then let's drag this into the render folder. It should overwrite it. Indeed it did. And now when we pull it up, it's been replaced, and we see that the old OpenTunes version does look very similar. That's the old version. Let's kill that. And it's just got a little bit more character now. There's one thing I want to object to, I think. Yeah. There's one thing I want to object to. So I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to make one more change back here in Krita. Let's go back and let's embrace the shadow layer. I think that we want just a little bit of this. Okay, and I do believe, yeah, that's all it took. Save, file, re-render, and I'm gonna not make, hold on, not make you, the YouTube viewer, sit through this. And so with that, I will say, as I always do, that there will be more later.